right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, to the May 27th, 2015 Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting. And the Vice Chair, Tony Pellegrino, is on vacation right now. And Lenny, would you sit in for him?
My pleasure.
Thank you. And I would like to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Rich, would you lead that, please?
Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For the benefit of those who have not attended these hearings, the procedure is as follows. The petitions will be heard in the order that they are posted in the legal notice. However, the chairman may change the order with consent of the board to expedite the public hearings as appropriate. The board will treat all petitioners, their representatives, abutters, and other interested parties fairly and with respect. We allow each petitioner to state why his or her petition should be granted. Following the petitioner's statement, any abutter or interested party is allowed to speak for or against the petition. In the interest of getting all the facts, we will go around a second time. The board may elicit testimony at any point, but we cannot allow any cross-discussion. All questions must be directed to the board. Also, we ask that you do not repeat yourself or your neighbor's testimony. If you wish to just indicate concurrence, please do so. After hearing all the facts regarding a petition, the chairman will close the public hearing and the board will deliberate and vote on the petition before moving on to the next. You can expect fairness and impartiality by this board. The zoning board is empowered to legalize the breaking of the town's zoning ordinance, and this is not done lightly. State law and local ordinances are set out in the criteria that must be met in order for this board to grant your petition. I remind you that it is your responsibility to prove your case so that this board has justification for granting the petition. The minimum requirements are listed in the form that you received from the Community Development Office, and it would be helpful if you would proceed on this basis. Please turn off all cell phones. Anybody who plans on speaking tonight and testifying in any way, shape, or form, please rise to be sworn in. So if you plan on speaking tonight, please stand up. Raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. All right. Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. If we'll just take a moment until our fifth member is seated. Lynn, over here. Lynn, over here, please. All right, the first item on the agenda is Ben Forleo. Is that close enough? Petitioner, and Leo Bossi, revocable trust owner, variances under the section 3.05 of the zoning ordinance to permit a construction of a single-family home 22.9 feet from the front property, whereas 30 feet is required, and 35.8 feet from the rear property, whereas 40 feet is required. The parcel is located at 3 Sunset Drive in the Residential District, Aquifer Conservation District, and Wellhead Protection Area. Tax map 3C, lot 008, and case number 2015-12. And if you could set up your board on this side, please.
Just so we can see it.
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing. Sign in, please.
You just sign in, and then you, on your mics, you want to make sure the green light is on when you're speaking. Thank you.
And what I'd like you to start off with is granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest that you filled out the sheets. And I see you have quite long answers to them.
I wanted to be thorough.
Okay. After that, you can go into the background and what you want, but we'd like you to go through the
Criteria.
granting of the variance first, and then and after everyone, we're going to stop you, and if we have any questions, we're going to ask you at that point. How's that?
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Again, my name is Chris Gaida. I'm a certified soil scientist and certified wetland scientist with Fieldstone Land Consultants, and I'm working with Ben Forleo for this variance request tonight. The granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest. This because the subject lot is an existing non-conforming lot of record that was created around 1960. The minor encroachment of 7 feet towards the roadway and 4.2 feet towards the rear setback will not adversely affect public safety or endanger the public in any way. The variance will allow for the reasonable use of an existing lot of record and will allow for the parcel to maintain its inherent value as a waterfront property, which will help maintain the local land value in the community and contribute to the overall tax base, which is also within the public interest. The variance will also allow the dwelling to be built farther away from Natticook Lake, which also helps to maintain the waterfront buffer and water quality, which is also in the public interest. The use proposed is permitted in the use proposed is permitted in the underlying zoning and will be consistent with the surroundings. Since this proposal will allow for more environmentally responsible development, we believe granting this variance would not be contrary to the public interest. It's okay.
Sorry, I do have a question. The variance will also allow the dwelling to be built further away from Natticook Lake, which also helps to maintain the waterfront. I guess I'm a little bit confused what you mean by that.
Well, because we're requesting a variance to the front setback, it moves the house farther away from the lake, since the lake is essentially the rear setback. There's a little bit of overlapping setbacks. There's the shoreline protection setback, building setback, which is 50 feet, and then the town rear setback, which kind of applies to the lake. The lake, I guess, would be the rear line, if you will, was 40 feet. So we're trying to split the difference, basically, and meet as many setbacks as we can in that situation. So.
Yeah, okay, thank you. That makes perfect sense. I was just
You
confused a little bit.
basically don't want to walk out the back door and walk into the lake.
Correct. And vice versa.
Go ahead.
Number 2, the spirit of the ordinance is observed because the proposed dwelling has been located to minimize the disturbance to existing vegetation and striking a balance between the shoreland setback requirements, the rear setback line, and the front building setback requirements. The encroachment into the front setback is only 7 feet, which still provides 22.9 feet from the property line to the dwelling. The encroachment into the rear setback is 4.2 feet, which does not adversely affect abutting properties since the rear line is the edge of the lake. The proposed setback still allows for adequate area to park a vehicle off the roadway and not encumber the town right-of-way. The proposed dwelling has been situated to maintain the side setback requirements in order to provide abutting properties with as much room as possible while still allowing for reasonable use. Moving the dwelling back to comply with the front setback would encroach farther into the rear setback line and the shoreland woodland buffer and require the cutting of additional trees. The location has been balanced to utilize as much of the existing non-vegetated areas as possible and maintain reasonable and useful shoreland setback, rear and front property line setbacks.
Questions? Go ahead.
Number 3, granting the variance would do substantial justice because the variance would allow for the reasonable use of an existing non-conforming lot of record while still complying with the zoning setback requirements to the greatest extent possible. The lot was created for the purpose of allowing for the construction of a residential dwelling. The proposed variance would only slightly affect the front and rear setback of the distance to the town roadway and would allow for a more environmentally responsible building location and would be similar to many of the house locations within the neighborhood, which also appeared to be within the front and/or rear setbacks. Encroachment to the front setback would allow for the building to be farther away from the lake, minimize the rear setback line encroachment, and would allow for typical reasonable use of the property.
All right.
Number 4, for the following reasons, the values of the surrounding properties will not be diminished. This proposal will consist of improving the existing condition of the subject property. The proposed house will be tastefully done and designed to fit into the landscape and the surrounding architecture. The single-family residential use proposed is permitted in the district and will be consistent with the surroundings. Typically, new construction will actually improve the value of surrounding properties, especially since it will fit in with the character of the neighborhood and the community. As a result, we would expect this project to have a positive impact on the surrounding property values, as it will remove an old shed and replace it with a quality single-family residential dwelling with environmental and stormwater provisions incorporated to reduce stormwater and erosion of gravel materials from the road from washing directly into the lake. Substantial woodland and waterfront buffer in compliance with the Shoreland Water Quality Protection Act and New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services rules will be integrated into the design to maintain viable natural buffer to the lake and the watershed. The proposed encroachments are for a few feet to the front and rear, both of which are not abutting to other private properties but to Natticook Lake and Sunset Drive, which are under general public ownership. The property will also be serviced by municipal sewer and water, which is soon to be going down that property.
Lenny? Patrick? Okay, go ahead.
Number 5, unnecessary hardship. Owing to special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in an unnecessary hardship because 1, no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purpose of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property, because the general purpose of the building setback ordinance does not take into account site-specific hardship conditions of the subject lot, such as sloping topography, proximity to the water body, and also angular dimensions of the lot lines also restrict basically the building setback and the building envelopes. The proposed residential use is permitted in the underlying zone and will be consistent with the surroundings. The proposed dwellings will not encroach any closer to the boundaries than many of the existing dwellings and structures in the neighborhood. Literal enforcement of the provisions would not encourage responsible development within the shoreland zone as outlined and corroborated by New Hampshire DS Shoreland Department that has approved the shoreland permit for the building in its proposed location. New Hampshire DS Shoreland reviewers agreed that moving the building toward the lake to comply with the front setback would be unlikely to result in any additional benefit to the environment or the neighborhood. Given the fact that this proposal will, in our opinion, be more beneficial to the surrounding environment and properties, we believe that a literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship to the client and create a greater environmental impact than the proposed requesting a variance.
All right, if you just hold on one moment. Now, do you feel that the unnecessary hardship has been answered in the first part?
I do.
Lynn? All right, you don't have to go on with
Okay.
the second part of that. All right, any of the committee members have any questions or comments? All right, that being said, I will open the public hearing. Does anyone want to speak against this variance? Does anyone want to speak for it? close the public hearing, and... Oh, I'm sorry on that. I'm so sorry.
I was about to
You
get-
seem to have answered everything perfectly. Is there anything else that you want to
Well,
add to that?
just a little bit. Just to kind of pull it together a little bit. Mr. Forleo, the way we started this whole process was really to design the proposed home to the lot. He spent a lot of time and effort designing the home so that it fit the parcel. Because the parcel is, as you can see, it's kind of slanted to the roadway. It's almost a rhombus shape. It's deceiving when you're out there. It's typically the eye wants to go straight back to the property, but it's just not the way it goes. So effectively what it does is it crunches the setback lines, and when you're building a square building, you'd have to make it extremely small in order to fit in that envelope, not much larger than the existing shed that's on there. So we did go to we provided a boundary certified plot plan with the boundary survey on there. We went to New Hampshire DES and spoke with them ahead of the permitting process and got their advice basically on how to proceed with the building on a non-conforming lot and what they would like to see for the shoreline protection. We've incorporated the stormwater management provisions that they requested for these smaller lots to pick up rainwater from the roof as well as the driveways and infiltrate it prior to going into the lake. So instead of running straight down the hill and into the lake, it gets infiltrated. And they were comfortable with our proposal and approved the plan. And so we're here at the next step with the zoning board.
Okay.
Question. I'm looking at the red lines on your map showing the building
Yep.
at the bottom.
Yes.
That doesn't match what I have. Has there been a redefinition of the rear property
No.
setback area or something?
This line.
Go down to the other lower section. Okay, on ours it shows that rear setback line being a lot further forward.
That's actually the 50-foot primary building setback line for the state shoreline protection. Initially, when we prepared this plan,
Excuse me. Hey, can you just grab the, they were just getting a signal from back there. Can you just grab the, walk mic? I'm sorry.
initially when I prepared the plan, the way I looked at the rear setback line and the shoreline protection line was that since the shoreline was more stringent, restrictive than the rear setback line, which is the shoreline's 50 feet rather than 40 feet, that would take precedence over the 40-foot setback. Basically, we in talking to Jillian, she said we'd like to cover all the bases, make sure that we have that building setback in there. So that's why that other line is in there.
He doesn't miss much.
No, that's okay.
All right. Again, any more questions from the board? All right. May I have a motion, please, then? I'm sorry, I didn't close the public hearing. It is now closed. Now may I have a motion?
Motion to approve Ben Forleo, petitioner, and Leo Bassi, revocable trust owner, variances under section 3.05 of the zoning ordinance to permit the construction of a single-family home 22.9 feet from the front property line, whereas 30 feet is required, and 35.8 feet from the rear property line, whereas 40 feet is required. The parcel is located at 3 Sunset Drive in the R Residential District, Aquifer Conservation District, and Wellhead Protection Area. Tax map 3C, lot 008, case number 2015-12, with staff recommendations that the applicant provide a copy of the NHDES shoreland permit to the community development department to put on file.
That's actually in the package,
Okay.
the submitted package. So.
I still have to put it in the approval. But thank you.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone in the negative? 500.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead with your spiel.
So you have 30 days, someone can come back and appeal. So if you start your work within the first 30 days, it's at your own risk. So yeah, up to 30 days, someone can appeal.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is Mona Paquette, petitioner owner, requesting a variance under section 3.02 of the zoning ordinance to permit the construction of a 10 by 20 foot pool deck 15.25 feet from the rear property line, whereas 60 feet is required. The property is located at 4 Lawrence Road in the residential district, tax map 7C, lot 001-1, case number 2015-14. And that looks like the first lot on Lawrence Road, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
All right, would you filled out a form for a granting the variance that you typed up here? Could you read that for us, please?
Granting the variance allowing Mona Paquette to locate her 10-foot by 20-foot deck should not alter the character of the surroundings. It will not pose any threat to public safety, health, or welfare. It will be consistent with the ZBA's findings.
All right, just a moment. Any questions? All right, go ahead, number 2.
The spirit, Mona Paquette requests a variance that will result in a setback of 15 feet, 3 inches from wetland wall as opposed to a 60-foot setback. It will not impact or harm wetlands and will be consistent with the spirit and will allow full and proper use of the property.
All right, go ahead.
I think we're missing a couple of pieces here.
You're missing
No, it's-
5.
Oh, yeah.
Diminished property value.
It stops at 3.
Yeah. So the next one would be granting the variance would do substantial justice because. That's the third one. Should we?
Yeah, it's number 3 on here, but it should be 5.
So the next question should be granting the variance would do substantial justice because. Do you have that on your application?
I don't have the application with me. They took that. I don't have that piece. I only have what I have. Okay. 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 Well, granting the variance would do substantial justice because of the way of the plot of the land doesn't give me,
It's shaped like a
It's
piece
shaped
of
like a
pie.
pie.
Yeah.
and the way the setbacks are, this is all my property, but this is where the land, it's right on the corner of my house. That's would do substantial justice if I could change that.
Right. Does everybody understand that? Since we're not going by notes.
Okay.
Okay, and what's the next one? Go ahead.
Reasons for the values of the surrounding properties will not be diminished. None of the properties close to this area will even see the backyard. All of my abutting neighbors are pretty far away, and it's all wetlands. My land is number one, this pie-shaped, which is what you see here, okay? And the house, most of the property here is just his backyard. All I see is woods, I see no homes. I don't even see this house. So these people here won't even see my backyard.
And you have the fence around it also, don't you? Is that fence goes all the way around the pool?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, any questions? And I believe number 5 you already have typed in.
Unnecessary hardship. The property is unique and has limited footprints for construction. This is the best location to build the 10-foot by 20-foot pool deck that will allow the Paquettes to get to their pool location in a safe manner and most convenient. The pool is for not interfering with the wetlands. An unnecessary hardship exists if the variance is denied due to the special conditions that prevent access from any other location on the property that has been already approved, pool location dated on September 4th, 2014.
Do you feel that Ms. Paquette has answered part 1 of the unnecessary hardship?
Based on the property, I think she has answered the unnecessary hardship criteria.
All right, does anyone have any questions at all? All right, I'll open the public hearing. Does anyone want to testify in favor of this variance? Anyone want to testify against the variance? Okay, I'll close the public hearing. And any last-minute questions or concerns?
It's a tough parcel to have and try to put a pool up, so,
Did she state her name for the record? Did you state your name for the record?
Mona
Mona
Paquette.
Paquette. Thank you.
I think that, it's a tough, it's a tough, place to try to put a pool deck by all means, so I'd like to, with the chair's permission, I'd like to make a motion to approve Mona Paquette petitioner owner variance under section 3.02 of the zoning ordinance to permit the construction of a 10 by 20 foot pool deck 15.25 feet from the rear property line where 60 feet is required. The property is located at 4 Lawrence Road in the R1 Residential District Tax Map 7C Lot 001-01 case number 2015-14.
Second.
You can, is there any, there's no special. Sure. You seconded it, Rich? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? 500.
Oh, you still got another one here.
Oh, that's right. Well, you, just advisor on this one first.
We'll wait till you both get done.
We have this little thing.
Based
going
on
here.
the fact that these are both a variance for the same section of the ordinance, is it necessary to go through the 5 sections again?
It's a separate
It's a-
deck.
It is a separate one, but again, it's the same. You want her to read them again?
If she could briefly just touch on them, I think that would be good.
Could you just,
Sure.
very briefly on all 5, and we'll make it as quick as possible.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to get you.
This is for the 10-foot.
Just a moment, I have
Oh,
I have
I'm
to
sorry.
introduce, I have to.
Sorry.
Again, this is Mona Paquette, petitioner owner, requesting a variance under section 3.02 of the zoning ordinance to permit the construction of a 4 by 16-foot extension of a deck and stairs 42 feet from the rear property line where 60 feet is required. And the property is located at 4 Lawrence Road in the residential district, tax map 7C, lot 001-01, case 2015-15.
It's for a 10-foot deck, not a 16. It was 4 foot by 10 foot.
No, this is your second petition. It's 4 by 16-foot extension of a deck.
Correct.
Is it 4 by 16 or is it 4 by 10?
It's 4 by 10.
4 by
Okay.
10. Okay. Oh, that changes everything.
All right, if you want to just touch on those items
Okay.
very quickly.
The granting the variance to Mona Paquette to locate her 4-foot by 10-foot deck with stairs shall not alter the character of the surroundings, and it will not pose any threat to any public safety, health, or welfare, and will be consistent with the zoning board's findings. The spirit. Mona Paquette requests a variance that the result in the setback of 42 feet to the 4 by 10 deck with stairs as opposed to a 60-foot setback. It will not impact or harm wetlands and will be consistent with the spirit and will allow for full and proper use of the property. Granting the variance will do substantial justice because there's no other way to get down to the backyard. By letting me allow the 4 feet, gives me access to a deck right down to the pool from the top of the house. And for the reasons, the value is just, it's all going to be done properly, which probably put value onto the house because it's going to be attached to the house. It's going to be done in vinyl and Trex decking, no wood. So the property, the value will go up, hopefully.
Hey, Mona, I just have one question for you.
Sure.
The reason we have 4 by 16 is that is what you put on the application.
Okay.
So I just want to clarify, is it 4 by 10 or 4 by 16?
And her points of
It's
watch,
10.
she does state 4 by 10.
Because they added this on, they added the porch and the deck on in 1990. And I'm just adding to the deck. I'm not adding to the porch.
Okay,
So,
so it is definitely 4 by 10.
yes.
Okay. All right, any further questions? Rich? All right, I've closed the public hearing. No questions, do I hear a motion?
How about anybody for or against? For or against? Just trying to help you out.
I will open the public hearing, and is there anyone for the variance or against the variance at this point? All right, close the public hearing. And do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve Mona Paquette, petitioner owner, variance under section 3.02 of the zoning ordinance to permit the construction of a 4 by 10-foot extension of a deck and stairs 42 feet from the rear property line, whereas 60 feet is required. The property is located at 4 Lawrence Road in the R1 Residential District, Tax Map 7C, Lot 001-01, case number 2015-15. Before we put it for review, I would ask that, because it is on this here, stated as 4.416, that probably should be corrected, even, so that it says 410, because it does say 416 now.
The decision
And she
letter
did
will
sign
be
it.
correct.
So, just paperwork.
Yeah, no, I understand.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0-0.
Of course, you have 30 days to proceed, and somebody can come back and appeal. And otherwise, good luck
Thank
and
you.
enjoy.
Yes, in this heat, yes. All right, the next item on the agenda is the Psalm 24:1 LLC petitioner and TW Bridge Associates LLC owner, requesting a variance under Section 2.02.1A of the zoning ordinance to permit a light manufacturing use in the residential and town center overlay districts. The parcel is located at 10 Twin Bridge Road, Units 2A and 2B, Tax Map 5D-3, Lot 115, case number 2015-16.
Hello, my name is Jeff Muster. Point 1, granting the variance would not be contrary to public interest. Integrity Laser, Inc. is a small growing business in Nashua that currently rents space. It is seeking to purchase a more fitting and professional building in a safer community. We are a clean business running low-power laser imaging systems to decorate, personalize, and etch company logos on parts for individuals and companies that cannot afford to buy the marking systems themselves. Integrity Laser will bring future jobs to Merrimack.
Any questions? All right, number 2.
The spirit of the ordinance is observed because we are a business that consumes nothing more than electrical power and disposes of cardboard boxes and your typical household garbage.
Go ahead.
All right. Next point, traffic is not disrupted because we only have 5 employees, and other than a daily UPS pickup and 1 to 2 deliveries a week, we receive few visitors. Being that a church of around 25 people will also meet in the building, the existing building has provision for adequate meeting space. The greatest impact to traffic would consist of 10 to 15 cars on a Sunday morning when other businesses are closed. The units have parking for 81 cars.
Go ahead.
All right. Granting the variance would do substantial justice because, first point, a growing small business will bring future above minimum wage jobs to unskilled workers in Merrimack. Our mission is to hire people and train them to become valued employees with transferable skills. We are a business that is clean with no EPA concerns. The owner of the business started the business when, as pastor of a church, he saw people out of work and in need. In other words, the business and the accompanying church care about people and the community we are a part of. Substantial justice is being served by granting the variance since the zone the property sits in is residential, yet the building and facility would never be appropriate for residential use, and the use proposed is completely in line with the construction and the design of the building, thus forcing the use to conform to the zone rather than the area in the facility would not be serving justice.
Questions?
No, but I think that's a very valuable point to bring up because, I mean, you're right, this is in the middle of a commercial space in Merrimack, but it's still designated residential. So
Right.
if it weren't, this might not be necessary.
Exactly. Thank you.
And number 4.
All right. For the following reasons, the values of the surrounding properties will not be diminished. Other than the few delivery trucks and UPS pickup, we are a business that stays within or stays inside our walls. We will occupy a building that is currently sitting empty, which has been for sale since 2009. The sale of the property will be good for the surrounding properties. We do not want other properties to negatively impact our business, so we tend to be conscious of how we impact theirs. The values would not be diminished as the use is very similar to other uses that have been operating in the property for 20-plus years, and there would not be any noticeable change which wouldn't affect values of the properties.
All right, go ahead.
Point 5, unnecessary hardship. Owing to the special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in unnecessary hardship because, number 1, no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purpose of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision of the property because there are no other two-unit properties like this one that can meet the needs of both our business and our church. We are very unique in that we serve a dual purpose of helping people by giving them good work at a good wage, almost as if we were a ministry. We need a building that we can afford in the 5,000 square foot to 7,000 square foot range that would not require a lot of additional money and work to be made move-in ready. Upon seeing the property, it was as if it had been designed for us in the first place. And point two.
Just a moment.
Oh,
Okay, we all agree that he's answered number 5?
Yes.
All right, you don't have to go on any further.
okay.
Now, do you have anything additional you'd like to add to this?
Not really. We're currently located in Nashua. It is kind of unique because we're going to ask for special use in a moment for the church as well. So it's a business that would lease space to the church to use their space. I've been pastoring the church for 12 years. Started this business about 8 years ago, and we're able to help people. That's
Okay.
all.
Any questions, comments? No? All right, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to testify against the usage of this building? Anyone who'd like to testify for it? All right, I'll close the public hearing. Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion that we grant Psalm 24-1 LLC and TW Bridge Associates LLC variance under section 2.02.1 of the zoning ordinance to permit a light manufacturing use in the R residential and town center overlay districts, parcels located at 10 Twin Bridge Road, units 2A and 2B, tax map 5D3, lot 115, case number 2015-16, and add in that the staff recommends that the petitioner shall obtain administrative approval for the change of use from the Community Development Department prior to use of the unit as a light manufacturing business. Does that make sense?
It does. Can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
With respect to light manufacturing, we don't produce anything. What we do is we get parts in from people and we just put their names or their serial numbers. So there's no manufacturing per se. We don't produce anything. We're just a service, a marking service for people.
But you're producing something for
You,
the
a final product.
final product.
Yeah, we're
I mean, not to put it too fine a point on it.
Okay, that's
but,
fine. I just
mean,
wanna
it's-
make sure.
It's not, we're not, we realize you're not like building AC units or something like that.
Okay, perfect. Just as long as that's realized,
Right.
yeah.
But you
Thank
get
you.
a mug or whatever in.
Yeah,
And you
and
etch it and then
Put
you sell
Fran's
it.
name
Yeah.
on it and
Yeah.
then sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, like I said, not to put it too fine a point on it.
Yeah, okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Second.
I'm looking for a second.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone against? 500. And if you'll just stay right where you are right now. And again, it's 24:1 LLC petitioner and TW Bridge Associates LLC owner, requesting a special exception under section 2.02.1B and 2.02.13D1 of the zoning ordinance to permit a church use in the residential and town center overlay districts. The parcel is located at 10 Twin Bridge Road, units 2A and 2B, tax map 5D-3, lot 115, case 2015-17. And excuse me for that stutter there. I had to look at that one again. All right, and do you have the 5 points there that you would read for us again?
I have 4 of the 5, so I think that that's probably all I have here. I don't think there was a fifth point submitted, was there?
Nope, there's just 4.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
good, all right. So the first point is, the site is an appropriate location for the proposed use in accordance with the town center plan because the unit has ample parking space for the congregation. Point 2, the parking available is 4 to 5 times more than needed. Number 3, none of the surrounding businesses are open Sunday mornings.
Questions? Go ahead.
All right, point number 2, the proposed use would not result in significantly increased hazards to vehicles or pedestrians by way of traffic congestion, ingress, egress, because the number of cars for those attending services would be 10 to 15. The property itself was designed to accommodate more than 80 cars.
Go ahead.
Point 3, the proposed use would not result in unreasonable impacts to abutting properties by way of increased noise, odor, visual blight, or other nuisance because the church services would be conducted indoors and car traffic would be minimal.
All right, and the last one?
All right, the proposed use is designed in harmony with the overall goals of the town center plan with respect to building, transportation corridor, and site design and arrangement because a church is one of the uses approved for this property. Available parking is more than needed. Abutting properties will not be negatively impacted.
All right, any questions or comments on the last one?
I actually have a question.
Sure.
You submitted a plan with your previous petition, or you submitted a diagram, and I don't know. The diagram doesn't seem to be. The diagram you sent for the church, the diagram you sent for the laser etching.
We were showing how we were going to break up. It's currently zoned for 2 condos.
Okay.
And we're just showing up how we're going to break up. It's approximately 1,900 square feet or so, 2,000 square feet, which would be allotted for the church portion. Right now, we would leave it as it is currently in place. And then I think there might be a second view saying we can expand it out. I mean, I'm not sure what those.
No, I mean, I'm just looking at it like on one of them you have you list add second restroom, but you don't have anything on the other men, and then one you have what looks like to be a 17-foot wide storage area, and then it looks like a much more square coffee area. So I'm just trying to which diagram is because this has to be on file, so I want to make sure
this is the one you're talking about, right?
Yeah, it looks
Yes.
a lot different than this one that was right here.
That one is from the realtor, but it does not actually match what the interior looks like. That's
Okay.
why I submitted when I measured off, and we did all of the.
So then this one's a little more accurate.
That one's much
I just
more,
want to make sure
much
that
more
community
accurate.
development has the right one.
Yes, much more accurate.
Okay.
The first one was just, it even says on it that all dimensions are approximate.
Right.
I'm a bit anal. I went in there and measured everything.
That's fine. Just I don't have anything else.
Okay.
Do you
And-
have,
Oh, I'm
sorry.
sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
do you have your staff memorandum that came with you?
Do I have what?
The staff memorandum that went out?
Was that what you emailed me?
Yeah, it would have come from me. There are 6 criteria for the special exception under section 2.02.1B1 that we haven't gone through yet. They're fairly similar to the criteria that you just went through,
Let me see if I have that here.
but we should touch on them.
The staff memorandum would have been probably one.
It starts
Oh,
here.
those, yes, okay, I have that.
Okay.
There were 3 different parts in that email, and,
Yeah.
all right, so you would like me to go through that as well?
Yeah, if you can.
All right, the following information is provided to aid in your consideration of the above referenced case. Additional background and application materials are included in your packet. Background.
You can, sorry, you can just start with the questions under standard of
okay.
review. Yeah.
All right. Standard of review, point A. The specific site is an appropriate location for such a use or uses in terms of overall community development.
You can go straight through these
Okay.
unless we have a question.
B, the use as developed will not adversely affect the neighborhood and shall produce no diminution.
Diminution.
Thank you. I'm from California. All right. Of the real estate values in the neighboring area. Point C, there will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. Point D, that an adequate parking area is provided for motor vehicles on the premise. Point E, a buffer shall be erected and maintained to screen existing residential uses. Buffers may be fence screens, dense plantings, or suitable trees and shrubbery or natural occurring shrubs or trees.
Just out of curiosity. What?
Yeah.
These are the criteria that are in the zoning ordinance under a special exception for a church in a residential zone.
So plant trees and we'll call it a day? I'm just trying to understand
It's
Or-
not possible.
Or if there are naturally occurring shrubs and
Okay.
trees, that works as well.
Yeah, it would not be possible to plant any trees or abutments because there's a road. It's a driveway into the major highway.
And
But
this, to me, would be for residential abutting uses, so if,
All right.
Okay.
Okay. F, the use as developed will be restricted for church purposes only. No commercial use of a church within the residential zone will be allowed. It is also the burden of the petition. Okay, so point A below on that. The site is an appropriate location for the proposed use in accordance with the town center plan. B.
Sorry, we did this kind of out of order, so you've already actually
Yeah.
covered
you
all of
heard
that.
All right, thank you.
I just want to clarify one thing, Jillian. On F, it's no commercial use of a church within the residential zone, which means they cannot rent it out as a hall or anything like that.
I wouldn't say that. I think that would be an accessory use to a church.
Okay, well, I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
want clarification on that one.
Yeah.
Okay. I asked if, Jillian? Oh, my mic is on.
You were talking this way.
Oh, I was asking if they could rent out the church hall as a commercial venue.
And it was my response that I believe that would be an accessory use to a church and that it would be allowed.
Okay. All right, anything further? No questions or comments? Can I hear a motion on this one?
Open to the public.
All right, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to testify for this variance or this special exception? Is there anyone who wants to testify against it? Public hearing is closed.
Okay, I'd like to make the motion to grant Psalm 24-1 LLC and TW Bridge Associates LLC special exception under Section 2.02.1B and 2.02.13D1 of the zoning ordinance to permit the use of a church in our residential and town center overlay districts. Parcels located at 10 Twin Bridge Road, Units 2A and 2B, Tax Map 5D-3, Lot 115, Case 2015-17.
Second.
There are some staff recommendations. That the petitioner shall obtain administrative approval for the change of use from the Community Development department prior to use of the unit as a church. That makes sense?
Makes sense.
Still
Okay.
second
You accept?
it. I still second it.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against? 500.
All right, thank you very much.
Proceed at your own risk for the first 30 days.
All right.
All right, good luck.
All right, the next item is, and you're going to have to excuse me on this one, Tom Sad? Tom Sad? Realty LLC petitioner owner requesting a special exception under section 2.02.2C of the zoning ordinance to permit the conversion of a single-family residence to a two-family residence. The parcel is located at 633 DW Highway in the C1 Limited Commercial and Aquifer Conservation Districts and Wellhead Protection Area. Tax map 6E-2, lot 024, in case number 2015-18. And could you sign in also on the sheet?
Good evening. My name is Naga Tamragori of Tamsab Realty. I'm applying for a special exception to convert a existing single-family home into a two-family home.
All right, sir. You filled out a sheet here.
Yeah.
If you would read those, and then you can give us all the background you want. How's that?
Okay. The specific site is an appropriate location for such a use or uses in terms of overall community development because the use will not adversely affect the proposed use in terms of community development and will not alter the look and feel of the area.
Questions? Go ahead.
The use as developed will not adversely affect the neighborhood because there will not be any new addition added and will not affect the neighborhood.
Okay, go ahead, sir. You got a question? Go ahead.
You're not changing the size of the building in any
Nope.
way? Okay.
Only separating the upstairs and downstairs.
All right, go ahead, sir.
There will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrian because the entry and exit is already existing and the driveway is also there. There will be no new nuisance or hazard to vehicles or pedestrians since it is well buffered from the abutting properties.
All right, so just to clarify for myself, you're going to turn this into like a duplex house? With
Kind
two-
of, upstairs and downstairs. There already staircase is there. I'll just block the staircase and it will be two separate properties.
All right, we just want trying to clarify that. All right, go ahead with the next one.
Adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided for the proper operation of the proposed use or uses because appropriate and adequate facilities is already will be provided for proposed operation and everything will be up to date and code. The adequate parking space is also available.
Okay, does anyone have any questions?
So you're turning it into two apartments?
Yeah, upstairs and downstairs is there. I'm not able to get enough rent for both together. So I just want to block the downstairs and make it as a separate one.
Okay, so you're gonna, and then you're gonna rent out both of these apartments?
Yeah,
Okay, so I just want to get clarification, so we're looking at approving an apartment building? I mean, you're creating an apartment building, right? 2 apartments?
it's like a in-law apartment on the basement. It's not
Okay.
being used. I bought the property in 2007. Ever since it has been empty, so I
So you're
just,
gonna block off the stairs and update everything and then rent
Yeah.
out as 2 separate units?
right.
Okay.
Is this what you understood this to be from community development?
That's what we got from the materials that were provided.
Okay.
There wasn't that much to go on, but that's what we got from them.
Okay, all right. All right, no further questions from the board? Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to testify for this special exception? Is there anyone who'd like to testify against the special exception? Lady?
Against?
Against. It is against, correct? Yep, come and sit down, please.
You can just step back.
If you just sign the sheet when you sit down, please.
Did you swear in?
Yes, yes, they did.
You did? Okay.
So we sign in here.
Yes,
Please.
please. All right, would you like to start your testimony while she's signing in?
Yes.
And
my
state
name-
your name, please.
Pat Wolfendale, and I live at 4 Allen Road in Merrimack, and actually, they're right above us. Okay. Originally, it was Mrs. Cody's home, and she was the original owner, and then it got transferred to different ones. Our really complaint is, prior to this, if it's septic, we were approached by the previous owner. They wanted to put in an easement on both of our properties because of the septic tank, and that's our main concern. I don't know if they've gone to sewerage or not, but if it's septic, then that means that it's all gonna come down and flow right into our areas.
We're down the hill. It's at the top, his house is at the top of the hill and we're
Yeah,
down.
would you state your name, please?
Oh, pardon me?
State your name.
Patricia Cadigan.
Do we know? Is it sewer there or septic?
It appeared to be septic to me from the GIS, but if the applicant can confirm, that would be, yes.
Does public sewage go through there? It should,
Um,
doesn't it?
This actually came up in my review of the application. If the special exception is approved tonight, they will need to also come back for relief for the lot area requirements for a 2-family residence under section 3.02. At the current time, they don't meet that section of the ordinance for a 2-family residence lot area requirements.
But as a residence right now, there's septic there right now.
That's what I was just
So
told, yes.
it's already there now.
Yes.
But it's been an issue before because the previous owner, Mike, approached both of us, and he couldn't do anything with it, and it overflowed the septic tank. He didn't want to put the money into it, and he wanted to connect into our.
Put an easement.
Because we're sewerage.
Oh,
And
I
he
see.
wanted to put an easement into both of our places, and also Leslie and Phil, who live next to us.
The third house over.
Okay.
And it's been an issue all along, and to even have one family there is an issue, but to have 2, it's all gonna
And
fall
more
back on
people,
us.
too.
How many times has it overflowed, or flowed onto your property?
It hasn't flowed over, but there's been issues of odor. You know, and
So just to confirm what we've just discussed, it sounds like the issue regarding the septic easement, that would be a separate variance, correct?
That would come up under the lot area requirements because of the soils.
Okay. So
Septic
that's something that would
requirement for
come up in
soils.
discussion, but does not pertain to what we're talking about right now,
Right,
correct?
yes.
Okay. So it sounds like that's something that will be a discussion point when that piece is voted on. But that's not part of this.
No, but we're at discussion for here.
it is, but it isn't. In other words, if this is approved, then, and if they don't follow through, then we're subjected to having not one family, but two families, and it's all gonna come down on us.
I just want to clarify that it can be discussed under these criteria, but it will also come up under that variance.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and does this have to go to planning at all after this approval? Because my question is, I mean, okay, I'm sorry, I guess my first question, does it go to planning at all after this? or-
Not for a two-family residence. If it were three or more, it would.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Do we know what the septic design is?
No, we don't have that information.
Is it available?
I would have to ask building if they have anything, but we don't have anything in our file.
And how many bedrooms is this being proposed for?
Do you know?
One upstairs, one downstairs?
No, two upstairs already there, two downstairs.
So you're proposing 4 bedrooms?
And how many bathrooms are there in there right now?
One up, one down?
And the previous owner, Mrs. Cody, we knew her. And
Yes, 50 years she was there.
And she used to wash her clothes in the tub, so she never really
Used a great amount of water, that it would create a problem.
And it's been an issue in the past with this other person that we dealt with, and we all said no for an easement.
Now, when you had an issue, how many people were living in that house?
He had his son living there.
So it was 2 people?
His son and
Just very few, yeah.
yeah, his son, and he had a few friends there.
What do you mean by a few? I'm trying to get an idea of how many people were in the house.
He had his son and his girlfriend, and then he would have parties. It was a big issue.
Lenny, you have any questions on this? Yes, I'm sorry.
Do we know if sewer is accessible to this property?
I believe it is, but I don't think he wanted to.
It doesn't matter what he wants. I'm asking if sewer is available to this property.
From the GIS, it looked like he would have to go through the rear abutting properties in order to get to it.
All right, so there's
Easily.
nothing on
How
Route
does-
3.
Does sewer not come down Hilton Drive?
It didn't appear to come all the way up. I mean, it could be a little bit farther down at the intersection. But
How does it get to Allen?
I don't have it in front of me, but I know that it came behind the property, and I can't remember where from.
Are you talking like a right-of-way behind the property?
Yes, the street behind.
How does the sewer get
So-
to Allen?
That's what I can't remember off the top of my head, but I believe it comes around
It doesn't
Allen
come
like
down
this,
Okay, all right.
but doesn't come all the way
Okay,
down.
Hilton?
She's saying it comes from here
Oh,
and out, which is
wow.
odd. And not down here. It comes here and
Yeah,
goes that way.
that's,
Are there any, what building regulations are there regarding if this is approved, what regulations or what requirements are gonna be, would the gentleman have to put in place to accommodate what it would now be an apartment, two-bedroom apartments? When, he talked about upgrading, obviously, the interior and making that all compliant. How does that extend to the outside of the house regarding the septic system, regarding well water and all of that? Are there codes and requirements that he'd have to meet in order to do this?
I believe so, but that's something that I would have to ask our building official, Fred Kelly, to confirm for me.
Because see, that I think is one of the. I'm sorry.
No.
I think that's one of the big questions here is that if he has to meet certain criteria in order to do this, and that criteria includes improving the septic system and well system and things to that nature, then by law, in order for him to do, if he has to do that in order to be able to do this, then that issue would be taken care of as far as he'd have to put in a new septic system or whatever. That's something that would need to find out from the building department.
That may be true, but I'm not sure that that's going to have any relevance to what we're talking about tonight. It will have relevance in the future, but not to this, because if let's say we deny the variance, so it's a one-family house that can be rented out, now 4-bedroom, now 2-bathroom, rented out to 18 people, same thing. Or split it into 2 levels and rent it out to 2 families, 2 parents, 1 kid each, that's 6 people. So you could leave it as a house and still have more people occupying it, still produce more sewage, and do no justice with it. I don't think that has any ounce of relevance to this.
Lynn, go ahead.
If you are building a multifamily home, doesn't it have to be on sewer in the town?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
Did you say yes to that? If you have a multifamily, it has to have sewerage. So therefore,
This is a
should be-
two-family. Multifamily is considered 3 and above.
it should be null and void.
That's 3 and above for a multifamily, correct?
See, our main concern is, naturally, it's all our homes.
I understand. I went through that where I live.
Oh, no.
Jillian, I'm going to ask you a question. It might be off base. But trying to think, if we table this till we got more information of what is needed for the 2-family dwelling, would this be okay to table it till next month?
That's
And
certainly,
get more information of what we need along Route 3 behind and if whatever else information we need.
that's certainly within your purview. Sure.
Can I have a motion?
I agree. I motion to table Tamseb Realty LLC petitioner owner's special exception under Section 2.02.2C of the zoning ordinance to permit the conversion of a single-family residence to a 2-family residence. The parcel is located at 633 Daniel Webster Highway in the C1 Limited Commercial and Aquifer Conservation Districts and Wellhead Protection Area Tax Map 6E-2, Lot 024, case number 2015-18, upon the board's tabling it based upon getting more information regarding sewage and other concerns regarding the building.
And rescheduling it for the June 24th meeting.
Rescheduling for the June 24th meeting.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? 410. 410. Lenny. All right, sir, we're going to table this till next month so we can look at all the plans along Route 3 down Hilton Allen Drive and exactly what you need to do this. Okay? And this way here, there'll be no questions. All right? Thank you.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, the next item is Mario Fortin in Nitroff Investments LLC, petitioner owner, requesting a variance under section 3.02 of the zoning ordinance to permit an 18 by 60 storage shed 2 feet from the side property line, whereas 20 feet is required. The parcel is located at 82 Daniel Webster Highway in the I-1 Industrial and Aqua Conservation Districts, Tax Map 2D, Lot 040, case number 2015-19. And if you start off with the sheet that you typed up.
My son will read for me.
Ah, your son, designating authority, huh?
Good evening.
And state your name, please.
Chris Fortin.
Okay.
Granting the variance would not be contrary to public interest. The property would be used for housing small construction equipment, which would be placed within a 18 to 60 structure. The traffic flow on Daniel Webster Highway and abutting neighborhoods would not be affected because there would not be substantial increase in traffic entering or leaving the property.
Any questions? All right, go ahead with the next one.
Number 2, the spirit of ordinance is observed because the spirit of ordinance is observed in that the land is zoned in a commercial property and would be used as such.
Go ahead.
Number 3, granting the variance would do substantial justice because the purpose use of the land would not disrupt traffic and would not disrupt the surrounding neighborhoods by impact by noise.
And number 4.
For the following reason, the values of the surrounding properties will be diminished. The land and small structure will be impeccably maintained. Any equipment that is at the site would be placed inside of the structure when not in use as not to distract from the area.
Any questions? All right, would you like to explain further on this? Do you have anything else to add to it?
I do
No,
not.
number 5. Unnecessary.
Did I miss? I'm sorry. Number 5, unnecessary hardship. I missed it.
That's all right. Unnecessary hardship, owing to special conditions of property that distinguish from other properties in the area, denial of variance would result in unnecessary hardship because no fair or substantial relationship exists between the general public purpose of ordinance provision and the specific appliance of that provision of the property because the general purpose of this ordinance provision is to maintain distance between the buildings and cluster developments due to the relationship between the petitioner property and the neighbor of the property line, and variance is requested for a reasonable distance will be maintained. The storage 18 by 60 structure attaches to the warehouse and can be added to the property. And the purpose is a reasonable one because an attached storage is a reasonable feature on a commercial property in this development.
Okay, hold on. All right, has he explained unnecessary hardship? Okay, you don't have to go any further. All right. Now, is there anything that you'd like to add to this?
With I just changed the building last year. Okay, I remodeling the whole inside, and the slab is already existing. It's already a slab there, 18 by 16, is already there, and half of the roof is already there, but the roof is falling down. And I put all my material there. I own a drywall company. I put my material there, and in a way.
You want to push the button? Push.
No, it's green.
Is it bright green?
Bright
Green. Bright green now?
Tap.
No, it was on.
It was on.
Oh,
Okay.
Be closer.
I'm sorry. Want me to restart it?
No.
no, we heard you. Go ahead.
And I put a lot of material there in the winter, and we see all the material from the street. So when I close that, I can redo the outside and make that building look good. Because all around my property, it's all been done, and it's beautiful. So that's one of the reasons I cannot use that piece in the winter.
Okay, and you're referring to the materials from the street as the garbage
That's my
and
material I
everything else
use on the
that-
job site,
that-
and when I close a job
Okay.
site, I bring my baker, stage, and all that stuff. And you see that from Daniel DOW Highway. So if I build an addition there, it would be closed, it'd be inside, it'd be better for my company to use it.
All right. All right, any questions from the board?
You said vehicle storage, correct?
No, it's not a vehicle storage. I own a drywall company.
No, I saw
Yeah.
I saw the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So then it's just materials then?
It's just material
Okay.
and like game box, slider, and all that stuff.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's basically to keep them from the elements and,
Yeah, and the
Mhm.
slab is already there. No.
okay.
Okay.
All right. No further questions from the board? Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing. Anyone who'd like to testify for this variance? Anyone who'd like to testify against the variance? All right, would you step up here, please?
If you guys just, have a seat back there.
And actually, I got the notice, so I'm really not sure.
Are you in a butter?
Frank?
I'm Frank Logano.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Have you been sworn in, Frank?
No, so,
Raise your hand. Tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Have a seat, sign in, please.
Actually, I assumed I was the butter, so now I'm wondering if I am. At Paper Graphics, is this the lot we're talking about? No. Okay, so I'm probably local, then, because you're talking about it, saying. Can you,
A little closer to the mic.
Can you
Yeah.
speak into the microphone, please?
There you go.
Is 82 on the south side of 4 John Tyler Street?
No, this is 85?
82.
82?
Okay, so you're up on the hill across from our parking lot. My only concern is a building that size, what's it gonna look like on our property line?
On your side?
Yeah.
You want me to answer that?
Sure.
Yeah, why don't you-
Go
yeah.
into the mic, you can have a seat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you go into the mic and you can answer.
If you guys, say yes, I can build that, okay, well, I'm gonna go to the town, get a permit, and we gotta put EFIS. I'm gonna try to put EFIS. You know what EFIS is?
Yes,
It's like the styrofoam stucco.
yes.
The whole building will look like that. I'm gonna redo the whole building.
So kind of have like a plaster effect.
It's a plaster effect, yeah.
Yeah,
It will look beautiful.
yeah.
That's what I do for a living for 25 years. No, that's, it will look beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's going to have a finished outside to it, not a metal,
No, it's gotta be no metal. Yeah. My building will look almost like that color right there.
Okay.
please, no
Direct it to us.
cross
Direct it to us.
I'm curious, just, the previous company was a trucking company. At one point in time, they were putting truck backs, the dump parts on top of the buildings and so forth like that.
A little
Yeah,
closer.
closer, Frank.
Oh, I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
yeah, sorry about that.
I just want to make sure that it's not going to be a warehouse thing where they're going to be putting stuff on top where they are going to be so close.
No, he just said he was just going to store his materials in there and no vehicles.
Then I got no problem with it.
Okay,
Right?
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm one of the condo owners. Yeah.
No, he has no problem with it.
No, I understand.
Okay?
Yeah.
You can stay put.
Say that again?
You can stay put. All right.
All right, since there's no one else here, I'm going to close the public hearing. And could I have a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion to grant Mario Fortin and Nitroff Investments LLC variance under section 3.02 of the zoning ordinance to permit an 18 by 60 foot storage shed 2 feet from the side property line, whereas 20 feet is required. Parcel is located at 82 DW Highway in the I-1 Industrial and Aquifer Conservation Districts, tax map 2D, lot 40, case 2015-19.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? 500. Is there a condition?
Is there?
Yes.
Rookie.
The petitioner shall obtain site approval or site plan approval from the planning board prior to commencement of any construction on the site. Just so you're aware.
I still second that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'll third it.
So,
All in favor, 500. I already said that.
you're all set to go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Good luck. Mm. Julian, do you have an extra copy of the March minutes? Mm.
March or April?
March and April.
That's April.
Oh.
Thank you, Lenny, for sitting in for me.
Okay, because the cheat sheet says the March and April minutes.
Unfortunately, they're not in the packets, and I don't have an extra copy with me at this time.
Okay, we have them for next month then, please. All right, we're only going to do April's minutes.
Are we doing that before discussion of other items?
We're
or-
gonna do the approval of the minutes first, and then we'll do the discussion. Do you have anything, Lenny?
We're the only thing that approve. He's ready to move those minutes.
Yes.
I move that they be postponed until next meeting, because there are only 2 out of the 3 of us that were in attendance in the first place. Table it till the next meeting.
That's a motion. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
I moved that we table the minutes, approval of the minutes of April 29th, 2015, until Mr. Pellegrino would be here.
All right, you.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All against?
I abstain.
That's the whole problem.
Someone has to do it, so it'll be me.
Okay.
Lynn, were you here? No.
Just abstain.
I was not here, but I watched it on TV, so I would be happy to approve these minutes as presented, if they were not tabled.
Next.
You want to keep your table? We keep,
I
we're
will- I
tabling
move that
the,
we approve the minutes of March 25th, 2015, which were postponed from the last meeting because of lack of attendance.
I don't have those minutes, Lenny.
Did we vote on the last motion?
Yes, he's just giving me motions here.
Are we tabling March,
Oh,
are we
okay.
tabling April?
April, are you gonna?
April's tabled, March,
Okay.
we're gonna have to table as well. I don't have them.
Well, then.
Motion to table March and April's minutes
No,
for this year.
April's already been tabled.
Okay. Motion to do something.
Are you gonna second it?
Second, what am I seconding? The motion to table the minutes?
March minutes.
The March minutes table.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone against? 500. So both April and March's minutes are tabled. And the last item, before I hear an adjournment, any discussion of possible actions regarding other items of concern?
Plenty. All right. So here we got what, an hour? So let's get started with this. So I missed having all of you guys with me at the OEP meeting. So I have about 8 hours worth of data to regurgitate. I won't, but I did think I'd share some important pieces of information, food for thought. Something that Phil has said many times in the past. The rate at which families with children are declining within our state is about 7% per year over the last decade, which means over time the property values of single-family homes could decline due to lack of demand. One of the things that the state's looking at from a legislature standpoint is easing on some of the things that, like ADUs, for example, making it so that it's easier to have an ADU, loosening requirements on the ADUs. Well, that's one solution, but that's not what's happening from an economic standpoint. So, long and the short of it is, when we're talking about scenarios where we're granting in-law apartments, ADUs, things of that nature, those could potentially have more of a positive impact on property value, potentially, than not having those types of events occur. And like I said, I could go into it in much more detail, but I thought I wouldn't bore you with the statistics. But just something to keep in the back of your mind, because I'm at the same mindset that Phil had of just taking ADUs and, making that administrative decision.
And again, I'm going to stand up because I'm the one that kind of stood against Phil on this the last time when it was brought up.
Where were you when we had this meeting?
I had a cold. Anyway, the thing about the ADUs, I agree with you. Most ADUs that come through here are approved. The only reason that I would say that committee should still, that ZBA should still hear them, is because there have been I think on one or two times that I've seen an ADU come through, it all looked a little more like an apartment than an ADU. And I think that giving a blanket agreement to that, it's something that I wouldn't say we should let go.
Well, if it meets the requirements of an ADU,
this is a prime
example.
example. This is a prime example. This place, tonight we heard about a person who's literally going to take what is an ADU, has a house with an ADU, and is going to make it into an apartment. Okay. So, I think we need to hear that, or we're going to start, or you could potentially start seeing a lot of, as you start setting the precedent, and start seeing a lot of two apartment type houses, whatever you want to call them, pop up all over Merrimack. Duplexes, yeah.
I don't think you can compare an in-law apartment to a duplex, though.
Right, but that's what that house is. Mm-hmm. That house has an in-law apartment. He's going to chop the stairs and make it. That's what he said. He said he bought it. There's an ADU downstairs, never uses it, and then he's going to basically chop the house to take out the stairs and make two apartments, an upstairs and a downstairs.
And that is not what I'm talking about. That is something we should be voting on. I agree with you. But if there's an issue with an ADU where, like you said, it looks kind of like it's not an ADU, then instead of going the special exception approach, maybe we should be looking at the variance. Because I know what cases you're referring to.
Yeah.
Where there were situations where it just didn't really feel like it. And even at that point in time, that was mentioned to us by the staff. So, again, those situations I think should still come before the board. But ADUs in general, if it's a cookie cutter ADU, maybe we should consider having that something that staff looks at. Other towns are doing it, just food for thought.
Okay. It's good. No, it's a good idea.
I have no problem if it's cookie cutter, but if there's one little variance in there, I would prefer coming through the board.
Oh, well, that's just it. It should be a variance. If it's not what we call an ADU, it should be a variance, not a special exception.
But it's how the person perceives an ADU also.
We've seen some ADUs in which it's only supposed to be a certain amount of living space. It really cuts that really close. So I don't know. I see what you're saying, and in a night like this where we're banging on 20 a 9, and we hear 4 or 5 ADUs in a night. Yeah, I could see where we could streamline the process and save people time coming in here and having to do that, but. I don't know.
This was several years ago. We had a petition for an ADU, and the question was the hallway between, there was a garage, a hallway, and then the house. and then you had doors to each side.
I remember that.
Yep.
Now, was that hallway part of the ADU, or wasn't it part of it? And staff at that time, and it's before your time, Jillian, didn't know. We couldn't get an answer.
And if you looked at the plans, it was an apartment.
Yeah.
I remember that one. And that's the example that I would refer to as to why I'd want to see ADUs, and I don't really see relinquishing that coverage. I mean, and it's really not a power thing, because believe me, I wouldn't want to sit through 10 ADU hearings in a night, but I'd rather make sure that we're not going to approve something like that, because like Fran said, that was cut it real thin. That's an
Yeah.
apartment, not an ADU.
Okay, I just thought it might be something worth taking off the plate, but, I mean,
Like I said, I don't mind cookie cutter, but if there's any question at all, I'd rather have it come through us than have staff make a decision, and if it's no, have them come back on us.
so we would have to set some pretty tight guidelines on what that would be if that was something that staff were to approve.
Now that I could get behind. If we said it means boom, 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 boom without question, that I could get behind. If it meets this, but anything outside of that,
Anything out of those parameters,
even by
yeah.
a square foot or whatever, that's got to go to the ZBA. That I could see.
We had one that was like 6 inches. That's the whole discussion of most of the night, was because there was a 6-inch difference on.
Like I said,
Well, see, here's the thing. If that's the case, it's not a special exception anymore. It becomes a variance. It's only a special exception if it meets the ordinance to the T. Then it turns to a variance. So if it were 6 inches, it wouldn't be a special exception at all. And if it were, it would have to be denied because it wouldn't meet the criteria.
But that was the argument the whole night.
Exactly. So it should have, yes.
Do you see what I'm saying? That's why.
Well, yeah, because that doesn't meet the criteria. So that would have to come in front of the board. But that would also have to be a variance. It wouldn't be a special exception anymore.
Right. I agree. I'm not.
Okay. I mean, I'm in total agreement with what you both are saying. I just making sure that, because that's the biggest issue between what constitutes a special exception and a variance. Is a special exception, you have the burden is really on us to determine what is wrong with the picture. With a variance, the burden is on them to determine what is right with the picture, because you're not breaking a law with a special exception.
I understand what you're saying. I do. I get it.
Yeah. That's all.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Wait a second.
Second. All in favor?
You seconded it. I don't have to.
I mean, we go through the CIP every year, and we talk about things, but if they don't meet the $100,000 number or something like that, they don't show up as the large